Well, welcome to Influential Women. My name is Jenny Smith, and today's special guest, we have Miss Andrea Aragon. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Jenny. I really appreciate you asking me to be on.
Absolutely. And when I was thinking of my list, I'm like, you were number one that came to mind because I feel like you are such an influential woman. I have admired you for years since I've met you. I'm like, she's got it together.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. But I think you'll find I probably don't have it as much together as one might think. But
you're a wife, you're a mother, you're this amazing businesswoman, and so many people look up to you because you changed so many lives. How do you do it all?
You know, it's tough. I think as a woman, we have a lot of pressure because our children look to us, our husbands look to us, and we're trying to have it all. And it's really difficult. And I think we carry that load silently often. I am really fortunate because I think like you, Jenny, my mom is such a support to me, helping with the kids. And without her, I would not have been able to have the jobs, the challenging jobs that I've had. And so that I was able to free up my time because of her commitment and dedication, and it was good for her too. I have a very supportive husband, and not all of us have that. And so I think when I look at my family, I have a very strong family, and that's why I'm able to do it. And they believe in me, and I've always felt that. And I think that is what people need. That's what children need. That's what people that have lost hope is they need someone to believe in them. Mm-hmm. And when you have that, that really helps you to achieve things that you may not have thought possible.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're from Rocky Ford. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. I want to know all about you today. So yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I grew up in Rocky Ford, and I always love to tell people that my high school mascot was a melon with hands and legs, Meloneer. Really small community, probably about 4,000 people. I think I had 80, 90 people in my class. So it was very tight knit. I'm an only child. I grew up very spoiled emotionally. My parents really paid a lot of attention to me, and they really instilled in me a lot of my core beliefs that I think have helped me to achieve. And, I was just a regular small town girl. We would cruise Maine and, sometimes do a little things we weren't supposed to out in the farmlands. But
like bonfires?
Yeah, a little bit. And but it was really great growing up there, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I grew up before technology, and we used to ride our bikes around, and we were just innocent and fun. And I wanted to be a TV news anchor person.
I could see that because you have the face for it, and you speak so well too. Like, oh, I could totally see that. So what happened?
So I wanted to do that, and when I go back and think why, I think it's because that's what you saw successful women doing. You didn't really see them in business back even in the 80s. You did a little bit, but from my little environment, you didn't see that. So you saw those successful women on TV. And so that's why I wanted to be. And it worked perfectly that CSU Pueblo, was an hour away. And I came to Pueblo, attended USC at the time, and did TV and radio. And I met a professor by the name of Jen Mullen, who was dynamic and enthusiastic and very smart, and she convinced me to do public relations. And so I did some things on TV at KTSC TV. It's now Rocky Mountain PBS.
Oh, yeah.
And loved doing it. But that public relations aspect kind of took me in another direction because it's so versatile, and I was able to do a lot of different things. So attending CSU Pueblo was an awesome experience for me. I think you make your own opportunities.
Absolutely.
And you do that by volunteering, by being willing to help others. And when you do that, you get so much back in return. And so I think that kind of started my trajectory. I was really nerdy.
No.
Yes, I swear.
I don't see that at
nerdy.
all.
I was so nerdy and very insecure. And volunteering, I think if I had a piece of advice for women that want to grow up and be in leadership positions, it would be start to volunteer, because that's where you can hone skills that you don't have. And that's how I did it. I started getting involved in high school, volunteering in high school, and then pretty soon I wasn't as nerdy and I gained self-confidence. And I did that as a college student as well. And kind of those volunteer things really grew into opportunities throughout my life. So I had a great childhood. I chalk it up to my mother and my father and my support network. I have had a very close aunt that played a huge part. She was actually a librarian in Rocky Ford. And so I spent so much time in the Rocky Ford Library. And let me tell you, I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. And I admit that, but reading and being at the library was like the one thing I was really strong in. And that really helped me. And being around my aunt, she was a professional woman. And that was a savior to me, because I wasn't very smart in math, right? I was like one of those people that was scared of math. But I was always good in reading. And that's why communications was so important to me in my life. And it made a huge difference. So I think why I'm telling you that is because you need to focus in on your strengths and emphasize your strengths. And then if you don't have strengths, get in there, volunteer, do things that you're afraid to do, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I'm here today, because podcast is definitely out of my element, but I'm doing it. You got to do things that challenge you.
Feel uncomfortable. And I think that's a way to push yourself. And, I was a DJ at Rev 89 back in the early 90s. And you can imagine, I had the hair.
The 80s hair with the bangs.
Oh, huge 80s hair.
Do you use Aquanet?
Yes, I did. I even have a picture of myself putting Aquanet on, which is embarrassing. But we played heavy metal. We played like the hair ballads. We played alternative. And it was scary. And I just kind of be willing to make yourself uncomfortable. I think there's a lot of people out there, we feel uncomfortable all the time, but we still do it. That doesn't mean that we don't have courage. So have courage.
Do you feel like that's when you grow as a woman, when you have made yourself uncomfortable?
I think so. It's lovely to be comfortable, and I like that. But there are times when you have to force yourself to kind of make a fool out of yourself. And I've done that many a time. But a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And so you've got to be willing to do that. And I think it pays off.
Absolutely. And so you talked about getting into and volunteering. What was the first thing you volunteered in?
So talking about women and role models, there was this gal, and she was a senior and I was a freshman. She had so much enthusiasm. She had so much energy. Like I could feel it coming off of her. And she came by one day to one of my classes. I'm sitting there and I'm a freshman, totally nervous and intimidated. And she needed help with an FBLA project. So Future Business Leaders of America. And because she made me feel so welcome and comfortable, and she was so, she was all the things that you want to be. I wanted to be like her. So I said, I'm going to try. So I did it. And that was the first thing that I volunteered for. And it just kind of was like a snowball. Like I got such a great feeling of volunteering. And I met people. It was really good for me too, because I met all these people. I made all these connections. And that's really what you have to do. And so volunteering has helped me in every single job, every single career I've had. Had I not volunteered, had I not stepped forward, had I not made myself uncomfortable, I don't think I'd be where I am today.
And are you volunteering now?
Yeah, so I am so privileged to be a charter trustee of the El Pomar Foundation.
That is so awesome.
It is like a dream come
That's
true.
prestigious.
Oh, it's such a, like, I have to pinch myself sometimes. So I volunteer there. They're an organization that helps to improve the quality of life for the people of Colorado. I also am a new commissioner on the Pueblo Housing Authority Board.
Oh.
And it's really an organization that tries to provide homes for people that are living in poverty. And I've served on so many different boards: Colorado Nonprofit Association, Caring for Colorado, a lot of local boards like Girl Scouts, the Historic Arkansas Riverwalk Project, El Pueblo when it was in business. And so I was actually on the United Way board before I was hired. Many years before, I was on the CSU Pueblo Alumni Board. And each time I always felt like I was getting way more out of it than what I was giving.
So it's so important to give your time and be on boards. Do you have a favorite board you've been on that you've served where you're like, wow, I really made a difference there?
Oh, yeah. I think that's a hard question.
I know they're all different,
they're all
each to their own.
Yeah, I think El Pomar has been a great one because it has really helped me learn about the whole state of Colorado and the needs and the way in which they conduct themselves, and their business is through excellence in everything that they do. I also was on the Caring for Colorado board, which was a board that centered on health needs and unmet needs and capacity. And that's an area that I didn't know before. When I was at United Way for 17 years, I was able to really understand a lot about health and human services in Pueblo. But now I'm really learning about, the entire state. And so, like I said, the other one I want to mention was HARP, which was the Riverwalk. And I was actually on the committee that got the approval. So can you imagine Pueblo without the Riverwalk?
No, that was so long ago. Was it like 15, 20 years?
Yeah, it was in 1995, 6, I think.
Yeah.
And how beautiful it is.
And you're like, I was part of that.
Yeah, I had signs. I was at the state fair talking about it. And I was super young. But wow, it was, when I see it, I'm really filled with pride because a lot of people didn't have that vision. You have to have that vision. And, as you all are doing here, Wake Up Pueblo, like that different vision. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need in our community to make it strong and to keep evolving.
Absolutely. So you talked about United Way, and you were there for 17 years. That's where I first met you. Holy cow. Tell me about your experience and your journey there.
Yeah, it was the most challenging job I've had, but also one of the most rewarding. I started off really like, I am going to change the world. I'm going to make this difference. I was so enthusiastic.
And you did, by the way.
So excited. And so, that first year you're like, yes, you're learning. And the second year was brutal because I knew what I had to do. The first year I was there, the campaign went down a little bit. We had a director that before maybe wasn't as effective. And so there was a lot of relationships that had to be mended with the agencies. And so that's what I did. And the agencies, meaning the people that we funded. And so we had to do a lot of relationship building. So that's what I did. But that second year, I was just like, I can't do this because I was focusing on what I couldn't do, not what I could do. Mm-hmm. So those little gains, I wasn't thinking about those. I wasn't thinking about that at all, but I was focusing too much on what I couldn't do because there's so much need. And I just wanted to be able to, in my naive way, like fix it all. And I couldn't. That was hard. And so went to my husband and I said, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. And he's like, no, you're going to do it. I go to some people in the community that I consider mentors. So people that I worked with when I was at the Latino Chamber, starting out, Dennis Flores, Ray Aguilera, Al Groulet, and I told them, like, I can't do this. It's too much. I just can't. And they're like, no, you're going to do it. And I was like, I wanted somebody to tell me it was okay. And as I look back, that was one of the greatest blessings because I wouldn't have been able to experience. So I started changing my mindset. And it sounds so simple now, like, duh, but
it's hard to do, especially as a woman. Like, you have to, I don't know, I think we're just so hard on ourselves.
Oh, God, you really hit a chord there. We are so critical of ourselves as women. You know, I wish I could just be like that. And I was just like I had all these expectations of myself. And, you know, I just cried and I said, you know, they won't even let me quit.
They saw the potential in you. And I'm glad that they did because you brought United Way to, didn't you grow it every single year?
Yeah,
I remember at your luncheons, you'd be like, okay, let's hold up the number. Yeah. And you'd be like, it's this number. And
yes. And, you know, thank God, like it was such a blessing. And I give them a lot of credit for that because I would have missed out on so much. And I think we were able to help people. I believed in United Way. I think that's why I was able to do it so long because it was a hard job. Every year you start out zero and then you've got to raise the money to give out. And the organizations, they really depend on you. And the people out there, you know, I felt like they depend on me. So what I loved about United Way is that it gave anybody the opportunity to be a philanthropist. Mm-hmm. So you know how good it feels to give. And if you're very charitable, you and your husband are very charitable. Not everybody has the means to do that. And so if you can give $1 a week and you can say, well, I really want this to help people have food on the table. I really felt pride in that. Like we're enabling people to give and to feel better. And I always feel like whatever you give comes back to you tenfold. Mm-hmm. And I believed in it. I was passionate about it. I was excited about it. I felt like we could do new things as we went on. And the reason I just finally said, you know, I need to take a break is I had, my husband had some very critical health issues that popped up. And my aunt that I spoke about earlier, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. So when I was at home, I was thinking, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff at work. When I was at work, I was thinking of home. I was like killing myself.
You're torn.
I was torn. And I think as women, we're torn all the time. When you leave your babies, you're torn, you know, and so that hadn't changed. My son was a senior, and I said, you know, I think I have to just kind of maybe step back and let a new generation take this on with new and fresh ideas. And it was one of the hardest decisions to make because I was scared.
I'm sure. Well, and you've just done that for so many years and so well. Like you were the face of United Way. But so how has the transition been to your new job?
You know, it was very scary. I was sick to my stomach for a long time, but it came at a good time. I was able to spend that last summer with my son before he went to college. My aunt passed away that summer.
I'm so sorry. I remember that.
And I was able to be with her every day when she was at hospice, and I would not regret that for a bit. And I was able to join the Robert Hoag Rawlings Foundation as their first executive director.
That is so awesome.
And I get to do all the things that I loved to do at United Way, giving away funds to worthy nonprofits. I also have to pinch myself with this job because the funds came from Mr. Rawlings, his estate, personal estate, as well as the sale from the proceeds of the Pueblo Chieftain newspaper. The Rawlings and the Hoag families, they owned the paper for 100 years, very philanthropic. And when he passed, he wanted to pass that along. And I knew Mr. Rawlings, worked with him at United Way and at the Latino Chamber. And his daughter, Jane, She approached me about serving as their director, and we serve 18 different counties. So Rocky Ford, Lamar, all the way to southeastern Colorado, to the San Luis Valley, up to Fremont. So
wow.
I am like a blessed person to be able to do what I love doing, even though I didn't get to be that TV person.
Yeah.
I did work at a TV station for 1 year.
Did you?
I did not like it.
No.
I did not like it.
So you don't regret not going into that field?
I don't regret it. I did not. I was a community relations reporter, and I had just started getting into it, and my father passed away. And so I didn't really get into it a whole lot, but I just didn't feel right in it, and the people around me didn't feel right. When I went to CSU Pueblo and United Way, there was much more to it, like that altruistic, that betterment of wanting to help people in whatever way and make communities strong. That was what I figured out was my passion. And so to be able to do what I do now, we fund arts, culture, education, scholarships. We do community centers in small towns like Eads. And just to be able to help these communities grow, I just feel like so blessed. Awesome. So I'm so happy and grateful to do what I do. And I think that's so important, is that we need to focus on gratitude and always be grateful for what we have. And even when times are rough, be grateful for the little things.
Yep, absolutely. And if everybody could be a little more grateful right now in the world, just think of how we would be today as a society. You said it well. So do you have a favorite story that when you were working at United Way, where you felt like, I am making a difference, like, or it just melted your heart, or
oh man.
And I know there's so many, because you have made just a powerful difference in this community. I don't think you even realize how many lives you have saved or touched being in the position that you were. So first of all, I'm grateful for your work that you did at United Way, and now that you're doing at the foundation and what you did at the Latino Chamber. You have changed lives, and it's so admirable, truly.
Thank you.
And so is there a story where you felt like you really touched somebody's lives that you'll always take with you?
You know, there's a lot of stories. One was, we work and rely on a lot of volunteers. Mm-hmm. And, with our mentoring program that your husband and you both were in, once in a while we'd get thank you notes from the kids.
Oh.
And our kids are so important. And we'd get these thank you notes, and we'd hear stories from the counselors about how our mentors really have changed lives. And so hearing that we were able to be a conduit for that was special. I had one of our coordinators at the county. She said, Andrea, I was talking to this lady about United Way, and she's 80 years old, and she gave me her bus money to give to United Way. It was like $1.82, and it was written on the envelope, and I kept it. I kept it in my, drawer, that not the money, but the envelope, just to remind myself, every little bit makes a difference. There's people that we've heard from, that were able to have food on their table, have school supplies, those little things that maybe you and I and a lot of people take for granted that we can just go out and buy. But there's so much need. And I was astounded. Like, I thought I knew Pueblo well. I was with Latino Chamber. I was at CSU Pueblo. I thought I knew Pueblo well, but there are so many people struggling. And so if we can just do something simple, it goes a long way. So I was really proud of the work at United Way. We worked really hard. We did so many things and events, and our volunteers and our people. And I want to just say one thing that I want to make sure comes out is that probably my biggest success is that I have been smart enough to surround myself with people smarter than me.
Oh, absolutely. Amen. You have to do that.
You have to, right? Yeah, I don't have all the answers, but I know people
Right.
that have answers. And so it's like, how do you inspire them? You know, how do you get them to come over and help you? And that's what I loved.
And you were good at that because my husband was on the board.
Yeah.
And I remember his first board meeting with you. He came home, he goes, Andrea, she knows how to run a board and she's enthusiastic and she just makes you want to. So you did that for people. You inspired them to go out and either find the answers for you or help you. Or so I think that's well said. You have to find those people to surround yourself with.
Yeah, God gives you gifts.
Absolutely.
And you don't always know what they are. But, you know, your job is to put those gifts that he gives you out in the world. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that. And so if you can harness that, I was able to do that. That's been my success in every job that I've had is, you know, just bring on the right people. And when you get that vibe, you know, that energy, like I saw this morning in your wake up, yeah, that's what it's all about. And it just makes you feel good. And when you feel good, people feel that and they want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So I know you talked about, you know, your parents raised you with ethics and values. What were some of those values that you still take with you today?
Yeah, you know, I remember my dad and mom did not go to college. So I was first generation.
What did your parents do for a living?
So my dad worked for Otero County. He was a road and bridge. He drove the big tractor and graded roads. Mm-hmm. And my mom was a kindergarten teacher's aide. And they really taught me the value of hard work. My dad would always tell me, it was never a question that I was not going to go to college. It was always just like, you're going to go to college because I want you to be in an office where you can be cool in the summer and warm, because my dad worked outside in the heat. He would come home, he was full of dirt. He, you know, smelled like oil all the time, but he was a hard worker. He grew up working in the fields in Rocky Ford. I am one generation from that. And so he always wanted me to have a better life. And he said, you can have a better life. And it was like, we're not going to continue on this trajectory. You're going to have a better life. You know, my mom worked hard. She also had a side cleaning job at night where she went every night and she took care of her parents. So I did not grow up wealthy. But, you know, my dad said, I want you to work hard. I know that you have abilities. And, you know, my mom's my biggest fan. So they just made me feel special.
Well, and being the only child, I know how that is because I'm pretty much an only child. I have 2 half sisters, but right. I grew up with my parents, an only child, and I can understand, you know, being spoiled in that area and not growing up with enough, but right. not knowing any different, that you felt loved. And
I felt loved, I felt supported, and I did not want to disappoint my parents. Like, that was the last thing I was going to do. Like, I couldn't do that.
Does your mom live here now?
She does.
Okay. So do you still have family in Rocky Ford?
I really don't. I have an elderly uncle, and that's about it. So my dad came from a huge family. My mom is the only one left from her family. And like I said, she helped take care of my boys. My father was killed in an accident in 1998, which I think totally reshaped my life in a lot of ways. And I had my first son in 2000, and so it was really helpful for my mom. It helped me. There's no way I could have done United Way, getting up and doing a presentation at 6 a.m. had she not been able to be there. And, you know, my husband has a successful career, and she helped there. So I think having that closeness, having that respect, integrity, and I think respect is really a big part. Like, I try to really respect people. I don't try to, I know where my lane is. I try to be responsible. And my parents taught me that as well. And to try hard. And they thought I was a star. How lucky I was, because I didn't know any different. But, I see these kids that, a lot of times they don't even have the basic attention for their kids. And so I was so blessed. and to have that. And so that helped a great deal.
I'd love to meet your mom one of these
Yeah,
days.
we'll do that.
And your dad, I know you post about him often, and it's probably a hard topic, but if he was here today, what would be some of the things you would want to ask him?
Oh my God, I would the first thing would be, are you proud of me?
Well, I would think he would say yes to that.
Because I really always wanted that. I strived hard for that. And I would want to talk to him about, do you see Freddie and Evan? Do you see my kids? And they are wonderful kids. They do get on my nerves at times. They're not perfect, but they have done so many wonderful things, and they're dedicated. They're hardworking. I get so sad that he wasn't able to see his grandkids. He was able to walk me down the aisle, but I would want to talk to him about that. And I miss him all the time. I miss him every day, but just, that belief in me sticks with me. And so, of course, I would want to know, what are you doing up there? And I know he's
handsome
around
too.
He was pretty handsome. I have to say, I didn't ever, when you look back, you never think your parents, but God, my mom and dad were good looking people. So I'm pretty proud about that. But I would just want him to know I have never stopped thinking about him or hearing his voice in my head. Like, you could do it, kid. I always remember that.
So you
could
always
do
have
it,
your
kid.
dad with you, and that little voice to keep you going.
Yeah, he's definitely in my heart, and I would want him to, just talk to him about, well, what do you think, Dad? And I would love to do that, and someday I will. Someday I'll see him again, and it'll be a joyous moment.
What are some of your favorite memories of him?
Oh man, we had so many. So my dad and I used to stargaze, and he had a little telescope, and it wasn't a very good quality one, but we lived out in the country in Rocky Ford, and so you could see the stars, and he was an amateur astronomist. And so he knew all the constellations, so we would always go out and look at the stars on summer nights and winter nights, and he'd tell me about them. And, he would always end the conversation by saying, and do you know why those stars are up there? And I would say, why, Dad? And he said, God put them there for you. Aww. He loved you so much that he put those stars up for you.
Oh.
And what a precious thing. And so when I look up in the sky at night, I always think of him. And the day that he passed away, he was killed in an accident. So it was very sudden. It was very shattering. I was living in Florida at the time. And the night of his accident, I couldn't sleep. We were going to get on a plane the next day to come back to Colorado. And I was outside, and I was just, beside myself. And we lived kind of in the suburb in Florida. And I looked up at the sky, and I saw a falling star. And I felt like that was my dad telling me, I'm okay. And this is my sign to you, I'm okay. And I'm in the heavens. And so that's a special moment. I think back, when I was 8 years old, and he was telling me, you say things, nothing's a coincidence. He was priming me for that moment without knowing it. It may sound weird, but
no,
I took that as
it doesn't.
I took that as a sign, and so when I see stars, I always think of my dad and something new that comes out, like a new planet or something. I always think of him. And so that was a great moment. And I used to love to wrestle with my dad, and we were just buds. We were just, best friends.
I love that. Well, and I appreciate you sharing some stories. And now when I look up in the sky, I'm going to think of your daddy too.
You.
That's it. Is that something you do with your children? Is that something that you pass down to, your next generation?
I try to, but my boys are 16 and 20. So, they're kind of not in the stage where they want to sit on the step with mom, but I tell them about the stories. I tell them about my dad. And so I hope there's things that they pick up from that. So I try to do that.
And your boys are handsome.
Thank you.
And you seem just to be like a wonderful mother. How do you balance being a mom and a motherhood? I know you said you have a great husband and mother that help you out, but how do you do it?
Yeah. Sometimes I act like a hot mess at home, right? So at home, you can kind of lose your mind sometimes. And I've done that. I'm not a perfect mom.
Did you always want to be a mom growing up?
Not really.
No?
I didn't not want to be a mom, but I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to be. I was just like, yeah, I would like that and let things happen. And it did. And I'm so happy for it. I'm so enriched for it. It's hard. Holy moly.
Absolutely. I think motherhood is probably the hardest thing I have ever done.
Hardest.
But the biggest blessing at the same time.
It's so hard. And you make mistakes and you screw up every day, but you just hope that, some of those little things stick with them. My kids are good kids. They study hard. They're doing well. They know how to interact with other people. They, I think, have respect. Sometimes that respect doesn't trickle down to mom and dad, right? But I was in that spot, I know. But it's, like I said, having my mom there and my aunt, they would babysit. They would enable us to do the things that we needed to do for our careers. So I'm really blessed to have had that. And, my mom was there and I never felt worried about dropping them off at daycare, and that, not everybody has that. So I could kind of ease on that. But yeah, it's really hard. And you're afraid you're going to screw up and you're going to screw up your kids for life. And you that never goes away. Even when they're 20, I don't think that goes away. And it goes so fast. So you just do the best you can. And, you look for resources and pray you don't screw up too bad.
So that's your advice for moms. Just pray you don't screw up.
You're going to screw up.
Just know that you're going to screw up. Right.
Right. But just, try to emphasize those positive things and the things that you do well, and be a support to your kid. Listen to your kid. I get so sad when I see families at a restaurant and the parents are on the phone.
Oh, that drives me nuts. Or even people on a date. It's like, put it away, invest in, who you're with at the time.
My God, that is so scary to me to know that these kids are sometimes being ignored. Mm-hmm. And that's terrifying to me. And I hope that stops in some way.
Have you and Darren always been on the same page with parenting?
No.
No?
No. And that's when it really gets tough with your spouse. That's when the fights happen. Mm-hmm. When, you might be really, really strict on this and he may not be, and vice versa. So, yes.
Do you have an example that you remember where you're like, Darren, I am going to win this one because...
Yeah, gosh, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of one.
He seems like, Darren is such a good guy. How did you guys meet?
So we met. I was the executive director of the Latino Chamber, and my friend Renee Carson, who is another very awesome person that you should have on this, very influential. She was running for the board, and she was friends with Darren. Darren was the HR guy out at Train Company. And she brought him to one of our monthly lunches. Oh. And I was like, ooh, he's kind of cute. He looks like, he's got a job. He's dressed nice. He's about my age. I need to go in. So I did my chamber role, like, hi, welcome. And I have to tell you, he was a total snob to me.
What?
He totally was. He's like, shaking his head, kind of looked the other way. I was like, okay. So didn't think anything of it. And then about a month later, Renee tells me, that guy that I brought to lunch? And I was like, yeah. And she said, oh, he asked if you had a boyfriend. I was like, what? He was so, he was very aloof. I said, I couldn't believe it. So anyway, a couple months later, he finally asked me out to lunch. And he said that he asked me out to lunch because if we didn't hit it off, it was going to be a business write-off for him.
Ooh, Darren.
I know. Can you believe that?
Jeepers.
Exactly. But, luckily, we hit it off quite nice. And our first lunch was at the B Street Cafe.
Oh, I love that restaurant. It's one of my favorites. That's cute.
And that's where he proposed to me a couple years later. So, it's hard because I can't think of an example really, I might say, the kids can have friends sleep over and he's not really that into it. And then we kind of argue and, or if I get overly sensitive, he kind of, might say something like, and I'm like, don't do that. We've got to be a joint force with these kids. Kids are smart and they can smell when there's dissension.
Right. They do. Even my kids are 5 and 6. Well, 2, but he does. But they do, even at a young age. They just know.
They're smart. So you got to have like a united front. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to do. So, we don't always agree. Most of the time we do agree. And that's, I think, why I loved Darren is because we shared a work ethic. We shared that we wanted to, have great careers and we wanted to give back to our communities. And he's from Wisconsin of all places, mm-hmm. such a unusual match for me. Never thought I would marry a guy from Wisconsin.
A cheese head. I see your kids wearing the cheese hats, right?
So that was one battle I lost because I really tried to get them to be Bronco fans, and I lost.
I love that you still wear your Bronco stuff when you go to the games.
I do. That's cute. Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun to do that. But Packers are my, second favorite team. You got to kind of conform a little bit sometimes in a marriage, compromise a bit.
Yeah. And then do you have any marriage advice?
Oh, God. That is so hard.
I feel like in a marriage, you have to work at it every day. And,
you do.
One thing my husband and I have finally figured out what works well for us is that we communicate. We talk all the time, and that's just been a big thing for us and how we've been able to have a successful marriage because it's not perfect. You have to work at it. Is there any advice that you would give to other relationships that has worked well for you and Darren?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think communication is important. You hit it. There's been times where, when I was at United Way, I didn't want to talk when I got home.
You're like, I just need some space.
I just need to shut down. I need to preserve my energy. And he wasn't at that spot. So he would want to talk and I didn't want to talk. And now it's kind of like switch. Sometimes I want to talk and he doesn't want to talk because he needs to preserve his energy. But you do have to communicate. And, I think when you first get married, the little things are big things. And as time goes on, you realize that those little things are not as important. So you don't fight over as much. Mm-hmm. You just kind of brush it off. Mm-hmm. And every day you have to choose
your battles.
Pick
mm-hmm.
your battles.
And with
Amen. kids. Yeah, I think that is so key.
I know. And you heard Matt this morning talking about somebody puts my clothes in the hand, but it's like those things. I'm going to pick my battles because some things mean more to me than other things.
Absolutely. So you got to learn that. And, we're getting better. We've been married. We'll be married 23 years.
Oh, wow.
So that's a long time. And
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's a big deal, I think, in these days. And I think I did the right thing when I said yes.
Yeah, you guys make such a stinking cute couple. And you had 2 boys. Did you ever want to go for a third, or you just knew after 2 you were done?
Yeah, I wanted a girl. I so wanted a girl. Mm-hmm. But I was not willing to go through pregnancy again. I was like, nope, not going to do it.
Did you have bad pregnancies?
I did. Well, for the first 7 weeks, I was sicker than a dog with both of them. Mm. And then after that 8th week, the 3rd month, then I felt better, but I was just nauseated the whole time. So it was rough. I thought maybe the second time I wouldn't have that, but I did. And so I just thought, yeah, this is good. God gives you what you're supposed to have. Absolutely. Even though I wanted that frilly little girl.
Oh, and she would be beautiful.
Well, but I've got, God, I think maybe we would have feuded all the time. I don't know. But I'm happy with my boys and, what a world it's opened up to me because I wasn't athletic, which they point out to me all the time. So I have to be I have to go to athletic games and I've sat through, so many baseball games and now golf. And so, yeah, it's been a whole new world opened up to me.
Well, that's awesome. You talked about, as a woman, sometimes you don't want to talk when you get home because you're tired and you've had a long day. And I think it's so important that women take care of themselves and they do self-care. What does Andrea Aragon do for self-care?
Yeah. Okay. So in the winter, I do a hot bath every night. Hot bath. I do, the Dr. Teal's.
Oh, the lavender?
Yeah.
Yep.
I do candles. I put in my favorite music. And
what is your favorite
from
music?
9 to 10. Oh, God, I love everything.
Oh, okay.
So I have country. I have 80s. I have, those hair ballad bands. I have like The Cure, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You name it. I've got it. I've got it all on there. And
you said 9 to 10. That's your
9 to
bubble
10,
bath time?
Bubble bath time. Do not come in. Do not talk. That's my time.
So Darren's not even allowed in. This is your time.
Oh, no. Yeah. He is not allowed in at all. And then, unless he really wants to make me angry. And then the other thing that is really not good, and we've talked about it, retail therapy.
Oh yes. I've seen you at TJ Maxx.
I love to look for deals. So
Me
sometimes
too.
when I'm stressed,
Yeah.
I got to go, I don't care. Ross, TJ Maxx, if there's a sale, that makes me feel good. And I'm trying to scale back on that. It's really hard.
I think it's a woman thing.
Yeah.
Did you make the Dillard sale? It was an extra 30% off this last
Not
week.
yet, but I did go on New Year's Day when they had the big
Yeah,
big
I missed
sale.
that this year. First time ever.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
Yeah.
I think women just, I don't know. For me, I love, Matt's like, you have a shopping problem. And I'm like, no, I'm just waiting for the good deals because,
Yeah. I need this $8 shirt.
Right. Oh, that is so funny.
It's only $8, right? So, yeah. So those two, I think I do. I need a better hobby. I've been reading more, with the quarantine.
You have a good read that you would recommend?
I just read Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, I hear that's so good. And that's a Reese Witherspoon book club.
I loved that book. I did not want it to end. When it ended, my stomach hurt.
Oh,
I wanted it to keep going.
So that's a good book.
It's beautiful. It's just, it's sad. It's unbelievable. There's some love in it. There's some good stuff. I'm so glad I finally read that book.
Can I borrow it?
Yeah, absolutely. I borrowed it from someone else. I'll just pass it along.
And I started a book club recently with the gals I used to work out with. And so actually we have our book club meeting tonight. And it's been so good for me because it's held me accountable to read because it's not something I have loved doing, but I'm getting better at it.
It's hard because, you have 3 kids. You don't have time to do hobby. So I'm at the point in my life where I need some positive hobbies because before I was always going, like I said, baseball games and school activities. And
your kids are older. What do you want to do? What are some things that have been on your list to do that you haven't done?
Yeah. So I used to be an artist in high school, but I'm scared to do it.
Why?
To try again because I'm afraid that I wouldn't be as good as I was. I mean, it's been a long time.
Like painting or drawing? Okay.
I've done painting and I was pretty good. I'd like to start that again. I've been, doing a little bit more workouts because I'm going to turn 50.
When?
In July.
July what? What's your birthday?
26th.
Now, is that the Andrea Aragon Day here in Pueblo?
It's going to be this year if COVID goes away because I'm going to make it the greatest day.
And what are you going to do?
50.
What are your 50th birthday plans?
I'm going to have a big party if I can.
Am I invited?
Yes.
Do you want me to throw you a party? Because I love event planning.
Yeah,
we have a place here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. No, I want to see all the people that have been a part of my life for so long. And, my dad passed away when he was 49. He didn't make 50. So it's a big deal for me
Absolutely.
to do that. And so, yeah, I want to be more healthy than I've ever been. I've never really been a workout person. I've walked. I walk, so that's another thing I do for self-care. But I've actually been doing a little bit of weightlifting, and my kids are really into it. So my older son, he's been giving me some tidbit. So I've never done that, and I'm doing it now at home.
Good for you. I remember when I had kids, or like my first kid I had, I'm like, ugh, I just can't lose this weight. And I remember you telling me like my legs were never the same.
Never.
And then once you said that, I say that all the time. I'm like, I swear my legs have not gone back. And I've tried everything.
Oh yeah, your legs never go back. Well, and I gained 50 pounds with my first one. So I used it as an excuse to eat whatever I want, which not advisable now. But yeah, I'm turning 50, so I want to, lose a little bit of weight. I guess I could say this because it is what it is. I'm like going through menopause.
Yeah.
And
how long have you been going through it? Did it just start?
Probably like a year or two. It's kind of early because I'm not yet 50. A lot of people do it in their early 50s, but my mom went through it young and my grandma. And so, that adds like additional weight gain. I've always had, the Kim Kardashian backside.
You have such a cute figure. You are always so stinking cute.
And then, I always had the thighs, the legs, like we talked about. But then I started getting a stomach.
And you're like,
it's like, what's going on? And I'm blaming it on menopause, not blaming it on all the food I ate at Christmas. I'm going to just blame it on menopause because I can.
Well, you need to have a buddy system. So if you want to go for walks or do some abs or lift, hey, we have Snap. You should come meet me sometime.
Yes, yeah.
I had to start too because I couldn't have any more excuses. Like, hey, Jenny, the kids are 2 now. Like, your baby's 2. You got to do something. So
that's what I did with my youngest. Okay, 2, yeah,
It's time to do something, but
it's hard to find time for yourself when you have little kids. And you know what? Just do what you can. You don't have to
you don't
do
get
it
that
all.
time back. So it's like, I've enjoyed it. I wanted to cuddle, and if that meant I didn't go work out, I didn't. But now it's like, all right, I'm finally to where it's like self-care is time.
Yep. And if you can only do a little bit, just do a little bit, and don't be hard on yourself. Like we talked about earlier, just that self-criticism or our own worst critics, like
Absolutely.
Just beating ourselves up.
I know you're talking about yourself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've always just admired you and thought you were the most beautiful thing ever. And you're like, I got the Kim Kardashian back in.
You're too nice. You're too nice. It's just, you think of that, like, would you tell your best friend what you tell yourself in your mind?
Right. That's good advice. And who is your best friend?
Oh, God. I would get in some deep trouble if I named names. I have many best friends. So, Tracy Samora from CSU Pueblo. I've been friends with her since we were in college. Terry Wiseman, Sandra Rodriguez, Renee Carson. I mean, Darren and I fight over who's the better friend. Christy Velasco, Dana Perino that has her own show on Fox. We still text each other. I texted her on the night that she was giving commentary over the first presidential debate. And she texted me back during the commercial break. Like, I have so many lifelong friends and friends from Rocky Ford and friends from college that I'm just so blessed to have. That's one thing I really neglected when my kids were little is those girlfriends. And then as they got older,
more than ever.
But as I got older, I started to rekindle that. So that's another thing that I've done now. Like, I actually went on a Saturday and had a, lunch and a drink with girlfriends.
Good. That's awesome.
Like, I never would do that before. So just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you feel good about yourself, because we need that.
And my husband and I are good in that too. Like, hey, can I go do this with my girlfriend? Because it's just good for you. It's part of that balance, Will. I feel like that women need to talk to other women just to, I don't know what it is. And speaking of that, what's your best advice for young female wannabe leaders just like you?
Yeah, I think I would say volunteer.
Volunteer.
Do things that maybe other people aren't willing to do. So an example of that is maybe go for a job that doesn't pay a whole lot at first if that's what you want to do. So when I started at the Latino Chamber, I was paid $18,000 a year with no benefits.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought that was great at the time. But there was people that, made a lot more than I, but it was something that I grew into, but I took a chance on it and loved it. And I also was an intern in Washington, D.C., and I was paid $600 a month.
Oh my gosh.
I slept on a futon in the scheduler's office, so another staff person, and she let me sleep on her futon. I paid her $175 to sleep on her futon. And but I wanted to go to DC because that was one of the other things I thought I wanted to do. And what a great experience. So, do those things like when you're young, when you can afford to do them, when you're not kind of used to a certain lifestyle. And, scrub the toilets. That's what we used to do at Latino Chamber. You guys talked about it earlier in your meeting, make coffee. I used to give tours at the Capitol.
Oh, how cool.
Do things that, maybe you think that, you can be coachable. Don't think that you know everything right away because you don't.
Coachable is key.
Coachable is key. And, pay your dues. So if that's volunteering, if that's taking that job that maybe doesn't pay as much, but it will get you there, pay your dues, be respectful, surround yourself with those people that are smarter than you, and listen, seek out people that you admire and try to emulate those qualities. So that's one thing that I've done is like if I saw someone that had a certain type of quality that I didn't have, like the ability to say what you really think. Like I've never had that quality, and not care what other people think.
So you're filtered.
Yeah.
I'm opposite of that. I have to control my filter.
That's good. I admire that.
No, it's not
and
good.
See, so you say that's not good. And so you can learn from people with the skills that they have that you don't have, and they can learn from you. I think, a weakness of mine has been trying to be a people pleaser and trying to please everybody at the same time. Boy, that just sets you up for heartache and exhaustion. And again, if you are a big critic of yourself, then you're just, digging yourself a hole. So if I wish these young women, I see like some young cousins and things, when they post on social media.
And what do you do? Do you like private message them and be like, you probably shouldn't put that?
No, you know what? I tell them, I wish that you could see yourself through my eyes. Because they're very down on themselves, and I was like, I wish you could just see yourself from other people's eyes. And there's just so much potential and great things that they can do. But for whatever reason, like they have a low self-esteem or whatever the case may be. And I was like, I just want to shake them. You can do this. You can do this. You're going to fail along the way. That's okay. We all do it. We all have had those challenges in our life.
Absolutely. And you're an influential woman here in our community. Who has inspired you? I know you've talked about your parents and your aunt. Was there that one woman that really inspired you to kind of go on the path where you're at?
Yeah, you know what? I thought about that a lot. And there's, like I said, many qualities that I've seen in other women that I have admired, that I've tried to emulate. So it might be enthusiasm from one person. It might be an ease of the way one person talks to another. But I will tell you a story that really made an impact. I was at an event one time, and Carla Barella, she owns Cortez Construction. And she was a former nun, left the convent, and started this construction company with these other guys.
A nun started a construction company.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman. And she was kind of a mentor to me. I've had a lot of mentors, but I worked with her a lot at the Latino Chamber. But I was at United Way, and it was during one of those really tough times where it's like, I don't know if we're going to make it, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do the funding. And she gave a speech somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but one of the things she said that women need to do, and people need to do in general, is pray for boldness. And I thought about that. And it really resonated with me because a lot of times I was afraid to pick up that phone to ask someone for money or time because I didn't want to be rejected.
Right.
We're all human. Like
Right.
you try not to take things personally, but it happens. And when she said that, pray for boldness, I was like, I really thought about it.
That is strong.
I wrote it down and I have a little, plastic cover and I stuck it underneath. And every time I felt like, I don't want to do this, I'm scared, I don't want to call this person.
Right.
They're going to tell me no. I just know they're going to tell me no. Pray for boldness. And I thought that was like a really awesome piece of advice.
Absolutely. I love that. I don't see you getting nervous to do those things. So that makes me feel good that I'm not the only one that's like,
so nervous.
I don't want to do this. But once you do it, it's actually not that bad.
It's not. Right? And I mean, I loved it. Like I loved at first, asking people for money, like making presentations, so scared, always had a nervous stomach. And that never changed over 17 years because I always tried to bring something new to it. And I think if you don't have that nervousness, then, maybe something's a little amiss there. And I just loved doing it because I believed in it and I wanted to share that opportunity with other people. And I was passionate about it because I saw the results. And not everybody gets to see the results, that happy face with food or a young child, getting school supplies or wearing Nikes for the first time, like they never had Nikes in their life. Seeing those little things, I really believed in it. And I just wanted to share it. And, how could people not?
Now, does she know that? Does she know?
Well, I've told her before that meant a lot to me, but I don't know that she knows how, prolific that was because I remember it and I said, And, I think one thing that, my mom and dad really taught me too is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So treat other people like you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a surefire way to get through a lot of conflict in your life. But yeah, I've had mentors, like I said, Dennis Flores and Ray Aguilar and, Al Gurley in their own ways. They just kind of gave me their bits. And if I had real big problems, I would talk with them about it and they'd kind of steer me in the right direction. And I love to still have that. Mm-hmm. And, women, sometimes it's hard for women to let another woman in. Mm-hmm. So when you find that, it's something special. And there's a lot of things that can be learned and you can feel a lot better knowing like, oh, yeah, she gets nervous too. She gets scared. She doesn't want to be rejected. She gets upset. Absolutely. It's just a part of life, but you got to just brush it off. Sometimes it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Any other women that are like famous that you really look up to for their acts of kindness or their words of wisdom, or just somebody that you've always wanted to meet and maybe have a podcast with?
Oh, gosh. Wow.
You could pick one woman. Who would that be?
I could pick one woman. Geez. There's so many. It just depends. I really admire my friend Dana just because she is so smart and she speaks her truth and she's tough and she has to be in that field. She's resilient. I would love to talk, like a Condoleezza Rice, I actually met her twice.
Really?
3 times, actually.
Who's counting?
Yeah, and she was so amazing because she was a trailblazer in so many different ways, from her gender, her ethnicity. That's a really hard question. If there was one, I'll probably think of somebody, in my car when I'm driving back. But I was like, why did I say that person? There's just so many people that I would love to talk to and just learn from.
And do you think being a Latina has ever been an obstacle in your career?
I thought long and hard about that one. It may. I think when I was younger, I was really naive. I think it happened more in like my personal interactions than maybe I noticed in my professional career. So, for example, being with friends and maybe I might have been the only Latina person and then someone tells a Mexican joke. And like, what do you do? Like, you feel so stupid. You don't, I always wish I had something to say and I could never say it because I was so astounded that somebody would be that insensitive. But I think because, my first real job out of college was at the Latino Chamber. At that time, there was not as much representation of Hispanic people in government and in high profile jobs. And I think that has changed. And that has been so wonderful. So I'm sure it has. But I think that there was a lot of maybe prejudices against me as a woman as well, maybe not being as smart enough, or maybe I was too perky back in the day. Maybe because they thought I was, too perky. I wasn't very smart. But I'm sure there was. I know, my parents experienced it. I experienced it. In a professional way, nothing overtly that I can think of. But I think, there may have been some unconscious bias that may have existed, who I was or who they thought I was going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I'm sure there was.
You kept your last name Aragon.
Yeah.
Is there a reason behind that?
There is.
I've always been curious.
Yeah, I did. So Darren and I got married in September of 97, and my dad died in January of 1998. So just 5 months after. So I was really going to hyphenate my name. Mm-hmm. And, I had been at the Latino Chamber before, and I had kind of built up a professional career. And but when my dad died, I really felt so strongly that I wanted to keep my last name, to keep his legacy
going?
Alive. Mm-hmm. And, thank God Darren was so willing to do that, because I don't think a lot of men would have been too happy. And he knew where it was coming from. And it was an honor that I felt like I could keep for my dad. And I'm I'm representing my dad now, and I do that. He had a big family, and I do that now. And that's why I didn't change it. And I named Freddie after my dad. So that's where Freddie comes from. Oh. And I just, I love my dad so much.
And he's your firstborn, right?
Firstborn, yeah. And Darren was able to, agree to that. And I give Darren a lot of credit to have the masculinity to not worry about that. And I love it, though, because it's a joke. Sometimes when we go to events and we have table cards, it says Mr. Aragon. And I really love that.
Oh, I'm sure. I love that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is so cute. Because sometimes I always get, oh, you're Matt Smith's wife. I'm like, no, he's my husband. And I wish that it would put that on the card because. Well, I love that you kept that in memory of. So your dad's name was Fred or Frederick? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. And Frederico. Mm-hmm.
Frederico.
Yeah. Well, he was known as Fred or Freddie. And, I would always call him Fred. And I'd say Fred. And he'd be like, I'm your father, not Fred. But I never thought I would name my son Freddie, but, it gave him his own personality of his own, too. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool.
I love that. Well, and I know you talk about you love all kinds of music. If you had to pick one song that just kind of represents you or your walkout song, what song is that?
Yeah. Oh, I've thought about this before. So I have two. Oh. One's kind of like cheesy in a way. Both of kind of are, but I like cheesy stuff, so that's good. So, Small Town Girl Living in a Lonely World.
Oh, I almost sang that earlier when you said I'm from a small town. I almost started singing, but I filtered myself. Look at me go.
See? So, yeah, I'm an 80s girl. I love that song. Love Journey. That is a song that, you hear and you're just like, yes, gotta love it. But the other song that I really, think of that really makes me happy is Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I've never heard of that
You're
song.
a shining star No matter who you are, shining bright to see. Something like that.
Now, do you think you love that too because you talk about stars and it reminds you of your dad?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it also makes me feel good.
Happy?
Like,
It made you happy just now.
Yeah, it's like you can be what you want to be. We are all stars in our own way. If it's not a professional career, it's maybe being a great mom or a great daughter or a great wife. I'm really corny and I believe in all those things. And
I don't think it's corny.
Feel good.
But I do love the other song, especially with Darren and you met a city boy. I love it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That is cute. So do you sing those for karaoke?
Absolutely. I haven't done Shining Star because that's a hard one in karaoke. I have done Don't Stop Believing quite a few times.
Oh, it's easy to do that, especially still the mic at a wedding.
Yeah.
No, never done that. Just me.
Not at a wedding.
Oh, okay.
At a bar, yes.
Okay. So what's a question that nobody has ever asked you that you're like, I wish somebody would ask me this question?
Good grief. That's a tough one.
Because you've been interviewed a ton. I mean, I've seen you in The Chieftain, on the news.
Gosh. I don't know. I mean, I love music. I think I mentioned that. That makes me happy. I love cats.
Cats, that's right.
I love kitty
You're
cats.
a cat
I've
lady.
always had crazy cat lady. I only have one cat right now, but I've had many cats. And because I was an only child, the cats were like my brothers and sisters. So
Right.
I always call them that.
So you had cats growing up too.
Yeah, very imaginative. I had an imaginary friend, creative, because I tell my kids, when it was quarantine and they couldn't go anywhere, I was like, this is like growing up in Rocky Ford. Like, get on your bike. We had nothing to do, just drive around.
Right, figure it out.
So I can't think of the one question that I've never been asked, but I don't. I think just the feeling that I want to convey is just that gratitude of people that have been in my life, people that have given me a smile, that have believed in, a cause or an issue, or took me under their wing, when I was smart enough to do that. I'm grateful for my opportunities and the people that I've been able to meet. And I just, yes, I can get jaded. It's not all, roses and unicorns. I can get jaded, and I've, had my share of disappointments, and I get angry, and I've had failures, but
I've never seen you angry. I don't think I want to see you angry.
So my kids say that, Dad is like the one that they fear the most, but if I get mad, it's like,
watch out.
The devil unleashed. Yeah. So that's kind of probably the way it is. I'm a sensitive person, and I just try to do my best. I fail a lot, and
you don't fail, you can't learn from your mistakes, right? And grow as a human.
Exactly. And so, I've been so blessed. Like, I'm a blessed person.
You are. I would say you're a very blessed person, but you do make your own path, right?
Yeah. And that's important. And so take that step. Just take that step, even though you're afraid. Just because you're afraid doesn't mean you don't have courage. Pray for boldness.
Pray for boldness.
If there's something that you're afraid to do, just pray that, like, okay, I could do this.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color, by the way? I just want to know for me.
I like red.
Do you?
I like red.
You always have like red lipstick on too.
Red. I like leopard. I'm real big into leopard.
That's my favorite color. I tell my kids, and they're like, "That's not a color, Mom."
Yeah, but I like leopard. It makes me feel strong. I like a electric blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are my favorite colors.
You're so cute.
Nobody ever asked me that before.
Not your favorite color. Oh, well, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I know you always have like your blue jacket. Yeah. So I've seen you in blue and purple. Do you like purple?
I like purple.
You like purple. So what is your why?
What is my why?
Are you tired of me asking you questions?
No, no.
Because I could do this all day.
This is fun.
I've always wanted just to get to know you, so this is so much fun for me.
No, it's fun. It's really fun to reflect on your life, and I've been doing a lot of reflection, turning 50, and having the changes that I've had. My son leaving for college, and another one getting ready to leave. Just seeing life as I always used to be the youngest person, and in the group. I started at the Latina Chamber when I was 23.
Oh, wow.
I was super young, scared to death, didn't know what the hell I was doing, but had the people around me that I could go to help. And the why is I feel good when I help make things better. So, that's why my path has gone where it has, is because I could have probably worked at a TV station if I would have kept at it, but I didn't feel that fulfillment. Mm-hmm. I'm passionate about my community and about my neighbors, and it's selfish. I feel good when I help someone else.
Absolutely.
And I know that they're being helped, or if I can lend a helping hand, I do that. And, I've been on the fundraising end, and now I get to be on the grant making end. So I understand it's hard. It's hard to do that. And it's hard to be a mom. But, when it's my time, I just want to make the most of my life. And I feel best of when I'm helping others. And it doesn't matter what way. It could be a small way, it could be, and we can all do that. Mm-hmm. And I think, the best way to lose your own problems is to lose yourself in service of others. Mm-hmm. So to lose that insecurity, to lose that unconscious bias, and just get in there and try it. And not everything's for you, and it doesn't have to be, but you can find that one thing that you're passionate about. So I think that's what I'm passionate about. I
love that, and glad. I see that in you too.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I know you're happy with, working at the foundation. Is there anything else on your bucket list that you still want to do in your life?
Wow. Gosh, I feel so fortunate to be able to do what I've done. I think continue learning in the area of philanthropy. And I'm learning a lot about private foundations. I didn't ever set to go out into nonprofit work or fundraising, and ended up doing that.
And doing it well.
Thank you.
Very well.
But I just think continuing to push myself and become more creative as I go along. How can we do a better job at what we're doing?
You could start making those art canvases and selling them.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do that. But
okay.
I just I love doing what I'm doing with El Pomar and my volunteer work. I'm learning a lot about housing with my new role on the Housing Authority, and that's a huge need. So just learning more about our community, and as long as I'm learning, mm-hmm. I will be happy.
See, I could see you being like an inspirational woman speaker. Is that on your to-do list?
Well, I feel like I did that a lot at United Way. Right. I felt like I did that. I mean, I would love to do that. Sure. I've done some speaking, and I love doing that because it challenges me. I get the butterflies. I got the butterflies this morning. It's like, God, I really hope that I can remember to say everything that I want to say, and not repeat myself so much. But I would do that. I just love learning about our state and about our communities and how we can make them better. I believe in Pueblo. And that's why I love what you guys are doing. You're bringing
What's your favorite thing about Pueblo? Because I mean, I know you're a Melaneer and you're a Rocky Ford girl to the bone, but you've been in Pueblo for what 20 some years now.
Longer than I was in Rocky Ford. I always loved Pueblo because it was like the big city when I was a little kid.
Oh, that's funny.
So like going to the mall was really cool. My aunt would take me skating, and my mom did the movies, and we'd go have pizza, and it was such a grand time. I'd take my friends, and we were so cool. But I love. Number one, the food.
Oh, what's your favorite restaurant? If you had to pick, like where are you going to go on your birthday dinner? Not on your birthday party night, but like your birthday dinner. Because mine is Cactus Flower.
Yeah, I love Cactus Flower.
They have these cream cheese enchiladas that are bomb. Then I get my chips and salsa that I can't stop eating, and then a margarita, and I'm just like the happiest girl in the world.
Yeah. I love Cactus Flower. So Mexican food, Papa Jose's. Ooh. My dad's second cousin started that restaurant, and
so you got blood there.
I love Millstop for the half a green chili plate, Coors for the slopper, Pasky. So all the like the
all the Pueblo
unhealthy
favorites.
Foods,
right?
But most delicious. So if somebody comes like from El Pomar or from Denver, I take them to Millstop, or I take them to Coors. Because I want to go to those like mom and pop type places that we have such great food, and like for Italian, like I like Latronicas, and there's so many. We have the best food ever.
We do.
We have the best food. We have great weather. My husband grew up in Wisconsin. His only complaint about the weather is that he wished we had more snow because he actually likes to shovel. But he loves the weather.
Will you send him to my house then?
Yeah, he loves to shovel. He's weird. And then, so we have great weather. We have great sunshine. We can see the blue skies. I've lived in Florida. It's not really the sunshine state. It's always got those overcast clouds.
And the humidity.
Which, this hair does not do good.
Right. We got good hair here in Colorado.
I've got decent hair here in Colorado. And then, the weather, the sunshine, and I love the people. The people are hardworking. They're friendly. They're personable. They have a can-do attitude. I think my only complaint about the people of Pueblo is that we're our own worst enemy.
I would agree.
We don't realize the things that we have, like the weather, like the food, like the people.
Well, I think you and I do, but it's the other people. You know what I'm saying?
They don't. If you lived in Pueblo, you're like, rah, 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 Pueblo. And I'm just like, no, this is great. That bothers me is that negative attitude from our own people. And that is then shared. And then people from Denver, or Colorado Springs, they're like, well, these people say, no, Pueblo is a great place to live. It's a great place to raise your family. There's a lot of opportunities. It's a small town. You can get anywhere in 10 minutes. Just go to Denver for a weekend. And, in my neighborhood, we're having people move in from, Denver because they don't want to deal with that traffic.
Right. It's a nightmare. Well, and that's why we started Wake Up Pueblo, is because we want to bring that positive perspective to our community, because we do believe it's so amazing. And, there are some negative aspects when you think about it. So like when Grant came here, he was like, I don't get what people say Pueblo's, has such a bad rap. I don't get it. It's awesome. The people are nice. The food is great. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, you need to portray that, because sometimes when you just Google Pueblo, those negative things come up. And that's why we did Wake Up. So we're trying to highlight our businesses in a positive manner.
Yes. No, you hit it. And we have two great educational institutions. We have CSU Pueblo. We've got PCC. We've got a lot of amenities and just that small town charm, but also kind of some of the things that a big city would bring you. And, we've got the reservoir, and we've got the mountains just, so close. And there's just so many positive things that I just wish that people would, especially like the native people, and this is a broad stroke, just that negative, well, I'm going to just kind of put it down, there's just great things here. There's things we can work on, absolutely. But there's a lot to be said about this community and the caring people salt of the earth. They're authentic.
Absolutely. So you would think Pueblo is a little gem.
It's a great gem. It's like the best little secret in Colorado.
I like that.
And it's such like a melting pot. Yeah. You want to talk about diversity? You know, I read at one point at CFNI, they had 30 different newspapers in different languages.
Really?
So they had all the Spanish and German and you name it. And, we are a melting pot. We are a great reflection of our country. And I think sometimes people don't view that in a positive way. They may view that as a negative.
Which is unfortunate. Well, I'm glad you're so passionate about our community like I am. I've always admired that about you because we do. We live in an amazing little place. And what I love about it is like we're very central. So if we want to go somewhere, just hop on an airplane.
Absolutely.
You have a bucket list of somewhere you still want to go?
Yes. I want to go see the Northern Lights and I want to go to Spain.
Sounds like a
and
50th
Greece.
birthday.
That's what I'm saying.
You got plans?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm planning, hopefully, maybe in 2 years to go to Spain, late birthday. But, I'm going to keep this 50th birthday
going forever.
Rolling on for many years.
I like it. I like your style.
Not just like many days, like in the past, many years.
I like it. Do that. So the Northern Lights, obviously, that's something. Are you going to get one of those little igloos?
I'd love to do that.
Why don't you do that this year?
Yeah, I could.
Why not?
Well, my son is in his he's going into his senior year in the fall. And so he's a golfer and we're doing a lot of golf this year. So if I go anywhere this year, it'll probably be golf oriented, which is fine. We want to do that and give him the best possible experience. So I'll be doing golf, but hopefully maybe next year, a trip with friends to Ireland, then Spain and Greece.
Oh, I love Greece.
I've never been to Greece.
We went there on our honeymoon.
Oh,
so
my
beautiful.
God. Yeah, I'd love to go there. I just want to travel. I miss travel so much.
Me too.
I live for travel. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. And of course, we haven't been able to do that.
And it's been so weird. I was even just telling Matt this weekend, can we just go somewhere just to get out? It's been a hard year not being able to do the things we love. He turned 40, and so we were supposed to go to Ireland last year, and we didn't get to go because of it. But, well, I hope you have the best 50th in years
I'm
birthday
going
coming.
to.
I love your style.
I'm scaring the crap out of my husband because he's like, oh, my God, what is she going to do?
Do you have the 50 things you want to do before you turn 50?
Oh, I haven't thought of it like that yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to take it empowered. I'm 50. I'm empowered. 50 is the new 40. That's what I'm going to say.
I actually like getting older. It doesn't bother me. And like you mentioned, I used to be the youngest. Well, I always felt like I was the youngest at Lamar. And now here I get called the second mom. And I'm like, I guess I am that old, but I've never been so I'm in that stage now too, where it's like, okay, I'm this. I'm older now. It just happens overnight, but I don't mind it.
You think it's going to take longer than it does.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I'm waiting to get to where I can feel that confidence and that calmness all the time. Cause I'm not really that way. I'm more of an anxious person. I try to get my energy out by being positive, but there's a lot of anxiousness that I have. But, the last year is okay, calmness. What is meant for you will come, through, of course, a little hard work, a little sleepless nights, some stomach aches, some headaches, but it will come.
Okay, a couple more questions for you. What's your best mom hack?
Mom hack. So I used to be really crazy about cleaning, and I'd have to clean the whole house every week. And this isn't really a hack, but I don't clean it as much anymore.
That's all right. Nobody knows.
I clean the bathroom. So that's one thing I can't handle. But dusting, I used to dust all the time. Why the hell would I spend time dusting? That's stupid. Now that I think about it.
Which my husband would agree with you. He hates cleaning. And I'm I enjoy having a clean house. It just
makes
my anxiety down
because
a level.
you feel like you're in control, right?
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. So I totally get that. So I don't do as much cleaning. My mom cooks dinner for us 2 nights a week. That's a big hack, and it's good for
Oh.
her, gives her something to do.
So does she live close by?
Yeah, she lives in Belmont and I live in University Park.
Oh,
so yeah,
that
I'm
is
pretty
wonderful.
lucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't be too hard on yourself, when you're a mom. Just do the best you can.
And 5 words that best describe
5?
you.
Okay.
5 or 3 or whatever you got.
Okay, I would say responsible, respectful,
There's that respectful word again.
optimistic, hopeful. That's probably it.
And you've had a lot of awards, a lot of accomplishments. What's one that you are most proud of? Because you've been CSU Pueblo Alumni of the Year. You've got a lot of prestigious awards, which kudos to you, because as a woman, that's hard to do, and you have conquered them all. What are you most proud of?
Gosh, all in a different way. I've been so humbled. Like honestly, Jenny, every time I got an award, I never felt like I deserved it.
Oh,
You're
too hard on yourself.
I felt so embarrassed. Like there's other people that, do wonderful things that don't get recognized. I really, really believe that. I just felt like I don't deserve that. And I actually feel bad. Like would a man feel bad? I don't know. So that's maybe like a woman thing. I'm not sure.
You shouldn't. You should be proud of that.
But I am proud, but I would just have that little tinge, and
It's a woman thing.
it's a woman thing, I guess. And, I'm proud of all of them. I mean, to be recognized by the university, I love that place. I would do anything for CSU Pueblo and to see it grow because it gave me such a great education. I want to give back. At United Way, I think I was really proud of my tenacity. Like every year, okay, here we go.
And you were tenacious and you did it.
And just keeping that up for so long, eventually I had to kind of say, okay, I think that I've done my due here. Being brought on to the El Pomar Foundation Board of Trustees was amazing. When United Way was recognized as a 4 out of 4 star charity, that was huge.
Wow.
So there's been a lot of things, a lot of recognition. I mean, each one was something that I was passionate about. So like business person of the year with the chamber, how much I love Pueblo, and
I remember
the press
when you got
club. Yeah. Press club, community service. I have been the one that's been privileged.
You're so sweet.
I swear, I have been the one that, I'm so lucky. I was telling my son this. He's like, geez, Mom, shut up the other day. I was like, I'm so privileged. And I feel like I get to do these things. Sometimes when we have bad days at United Way, I'd say, now remember, we are doing this and other people volunteer to do this, and we get to do this as our life's work. Mm-hmm. And we're really fortunate to be able to do that. So we get to do all these things. We get to be of service. We get to volunteer and give of our time, talent, and treasure. And I love doing that.
Do you think they remember those words from you, and then that's your legacy right now going on at United Way? Do you think they hear Andrea saying those words to keep them going?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. It's a hard job. So, hopefully there's some positivity left there that goes on.
And if you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself 20 years ago that made you the person you are today? Like if you could have told you, okay, let me reword that. If you could tell yourself something 20 years ago that you didn't know today, what would it be?
I would say go back to the theme of have no fear, pray for boldness, and don't be afraid to fail, and don't be a people pleaser. I always thought to be a good leader that you had to have everybody happy. And I learned the hard way that that's not possible. It's not true. And I tried so hard to do that, and I couldn't always do it. So I would say just do the best you can, but be bold. You don't ever want to look back and say, I wish I would have done this. Like
So
when I
no
went to
regrets.
DC, I, didn't want to say, oh God, I was too afraid to go there, and I was intimidated. And that's another one. Like, don't be intimidated by people. Like, why are we intimidated by people? Everybody has their positives. Everybody has their challenges. And like, you have to work through that. Just because someone is, this great achiever, like, don't be intimidated. Be yourself. Be authentic. That's what makes you special.
Absolutely.
And I've learned that over the years. Is just bring your own personality to the table, and you'll find the right slots
Absolutely.
to fit in. So I'd say all that.
Have you ever thought about writing a book? Like, I feel like you have so many words of wisdom and
Oh, I've always liked writing. That's always been one of my strengths. And I don't know. But I like to read other people's books.
coming from your aunt, the librarian,
Yeah.
don't you think that she'd be so proud of you to write a book?
She would love that. Even if it was just a little, book for me and the kids. Yeah. You never know. I mean, that's something I've always admired women authors, as a young girl. I loved reading women authors, especially. And so that's another way of relating. And I mean, that would be cool.
Well, maybe when your son goes off to college, I think you should put that on your to-do list, because I would read it
There you
in a heartbeat. So start thinking about that. You can
I
paint
will.
and do all that, but for me, I would appreciate if you did a book.
Yeah, and I would be really honest about it, about all the heartaches. Like I said, I've been so fortunate to get a lot of awards, but there's been a lot of tears and stomach aches and health issues that have come along with that because of the my desire to be the best, and sometimes that doesn't always work, and so a lot of that.
What were some of those failures that you felt?
Oh gosh. Probably the biggest failure I think that I've had is not standing up for myself when I should have. And it goes back to that people pleasing aspect. I think there's times where I could have done that better and maybe drawn the line better. But I wasn't that person. I want to be that person, but I wasn't that person. So I viewed myself as weak because I didn't do that. And I wished I could have.
Because I see you as a person now, and maybe it's just through experience where you're at that you do that. So from the outside looking in, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that. I think it's just sticking up for myself sometimes. And, again, saying something that wasn't popular or positive, but saying it anyway. And that's always been an issue.
And what does influential mean to you?
Influential, I think, is someone that can just take the time to get things done. They make things happen, whatever it may be. If it's just volunteering in your kid's classroom, if that's volunteering for an event at Junior League, or if that's creating a new business or starting a nonprofit or, creating a foundation, make things happen. Take that first step to just make things happen. Take action. I think it's someone that takes action. And then that inspires others to do the same.
Absolutely. Well, Andrea, I want to say thank you for being influential. Thank you for making things happen. Thank you for all the work that you have done in our community. And thank you for being an inspirational woman. You truly are beautiful inside and out. I know your parents are both proud of you. Your dad is looking down on you, super proud. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking the time today to be with me, answering some questions. It means a lot. And keep being you. And I look forward to reading your book in a couple of years.